Welcome to Elevated Women, the podcast where energetics meets strategy and wealth becomes who you are. I'm your host, Myra Swankotze, subconscious reprogramming master, energetics mentor, multi-seven-figure coach, and Brain's 500 global honoree for my work in conscious business leadership. This space is your portal, a frequency upgrade for the woman who's done shrinking and ready to claim everything she came for. Let's melt the old patterns, rewire your money story, and build a wildly aligned business from your highest self. This is your next evolution. Let's begin. You're listening to Elevated Table Talks. These are the unfiltered conversations with women who build from soul, scale with clarity, and move with purpose. Welcome back to Elevated Women. Today we're diving into a powerful conversation that blends healing, intuition, and natural medicine. I'm joined by Ananda More, the brilliant filmmaker behind Magic Pills, a documentary that explores homeopathy through a truly global lens. But this isn't just a film about alternative medicines. It's about reclaiming the right to trust ourselves again, to listen to our bodies, to stop outsourcing our power. If you're a woman in business, you already know building something big means carrying a lot. And sometimes our bodies pay the price. I'd like to go that far, ladies, to tell you that in most cases, I've seen that our bodies pay the price. We push through when we're tired. We ignore symptoms. We override our cycles. We put healing last on the list. In this episode, we explore a new way, a softer, stronger, more intuitive way to stay well while you lead, and why it matters now more than ever, with natural medicine facing growing restrictions around the world. Let's get into it. Welcome to Elevated Women, Ananda. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, Myra. Thanks so much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
You're so welcome. I want to ask you about your story. I've done some research and it's interesting. So I have yet to watch Magic Bulls. I haven't had the time, but I am definitely going to make time some weekend to watch it. So I want us to, I want you to start sharing a little bit and tell us about your personal journey. What led you to homeopathy and to making the film Magic Bulls?
Two different stories, but to address the first one about discovering homeopathy, initially I was very, very distrustful and very skeptical of homeopathy specifically. And I learned about homeopathy in a course I did in university on witchcraft and the occult, which tells you something about like how they were describing this medicine, really medicine, as a hokey dokey kind of practice. And when I heard that they were treating people with diluted medicine, meaning that there was no original source material and they're giving people this medicine, I thought it was the most absurd thing I'd ever heard of. People had lost all sense of discernment. People would believe anything out there, and I was shocked and kind of disgusted. And as yeah, like I wanted to go to law school. I had left that behind me, and then a few years later, I was traveling in India. I was in I was in a place called Hampi, and I got very, very sick. I had food poisoning, everything going out all over the place. And I was traveling with this girl whose mother was a homeopath. And so she had her little homeopathic travel kit. And she came to me and she's like, "Here, take this." And I thought to myself, well, it's not going to hurt me. I'll take your silly sugar pills. And to my great amazement, after 15 minutes, I had improved so much and I was feeling so much better. And I was like, oh, maybe there is something to this. And I started exploring further. I went and met with a homeopath in another town called Pune. Homeopathy is very, very prolific in India. It's one of the most used forms of medicine there. And the whatever this homeopathic remedy this doctor gave me helped me overcome what had been a lifetime of depression. And it was really incredible. And I wanted to be a part of this. I wanted to help people in the same way. Originally, I wanted to go become a human rights lawyer. So um, I recognized that there was a much more profound way that I felt I could help and I could be of service. And so I applied for homeopathic college and went to school. And that's how the journey all started. The film came about for many years. I co-owned a homeopathic bookstore and a little clinic. And we used to go to conferences and set up our book tables and sell books. And at one conference in Toronto, there was a presentation from Cuba. And these doctors, medical doctors, immunologists who worked for a large Cuban pharmaceutical company dedicated to vaccines, told the story about how they stopped an epidemic of something called leptospirosis, which is a tropical disease. We don't hear about it in a lot of developed countries, but in places like Cuba, everyone knows what leptospirosis is. And it has a relatively high mortality rate of up to 10%. And it's very hard to diagnose because it looks like a lot of other things. It's very undifferentiated in terms of diagnosis. It can look like dengue or all kinds of different flus. So the unique thing about leptospirosis is it's spread through water. And in Cuba, they would have a hurricane, things would flood, and they would have epidemics of leptospirosis. So in 2007, they were hit with oh no, they were hit with one really terrible hurricane on one coast. And the Cubans didn't have enough vaccine for that population. They didn't have enough time either. It requires 2 doses over many months. And they decided to try a homeopathic equivalent. And they got the remedy to millions of people. They stopped the epidemic, and rates of that disease went to an all-time low. And the following year, what was incredible is 3 hurricanes hit the entire island. And now they kind of had a control group. They had that control group of most of Cuba that never received the homeoprophylactic. And we had that one area of Cuba that the year prior had received the homeopathic remedy. And what they saw was astounding. The area that had received the homeopathic remedy maintained below record, historical record incidences of the disease. And in the rest of Cuba, there was a huge increase.
Oh my, that's so nice to hear that that can be that powerful. Hey?
Yes, yes. And I sat there and thought to myself, the world is never going to know this. Like, this is such an important piece of information. This could change lives. Homeopathy is easy to produce. It's quick. It's affordable. You don't need cold storage or it's easy to get anywhere. And there's no side effects. It's safe. So why are we not publishing this? Why isn't this big news? And when the Cubans, who are medical doctors, have their own vaccine journal, when they went to publish their results, they were in utter shock that the medical journals didn't want to publish. And the excuses the medical journals had were rubbish. They were ridiculous. They suddenly wanted all 2.5 million people who were part of the, we'll say, research, the intervention, to sign a paper, things that were impossible and had never been asked ever before of any other study. And they started to recognize that there's a huge bias against homeopathy and natural medicine in the medical literature. And the reason for that is because medical journals are funded by the pharmaceutical industry through advertising, and they don't want to do anything to piss off their advertisers. That's how they make a living.
Yeah.
So huge bias. And I really felt that this message had to get to the world. Um, so what better way to do that than to make a film? And of course, it's not the only story. There are so many stories out there of what is being done with homeopathy. Mind-blowing, impressive, life-changing stories. And whenever I took the movie somewhere and I did a Q&A, I would always be asked, why didn't you tell this other story? And why didn't you tell this other story? Because there are so many stories that people want to share.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. I can really imagine. I noticed that you call it
Prophylaxis?
no,
No.
how do you say? I say
Homeopathy?
homeopathy, yeah. I'm from South Africa. It just shows you how differently we pronounce things, doesn't it?
How do you say it?
Homeopathy.
Okay.
Yes. So it just shows you how different the pronunciations are in different parts of the world. That is really an amazing story. And yes, like I said, I'm still willing, not willing, wanting to watch the movie. And I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it um, a lot. I want to ask you, why do you think so many women in business are disconnected from their bodies? My audience are women in business. So I wanted to bring this to them as an alternative for what we're doing right now because we don't
Mhm.
really look after our bodies. I know I'm guilty as well.
I don't think it's just women. I think it's men as well. But um, as women, maybe we're a little bit more cyclical as well, um, in our energy levels, in how we're thinking, in what our focus wants to turn to naturally through different times of our cycles. And that affects us, and we walk into this very masculine model, which doesn't allow for that. It's
That's very true.
um, also like if you're working, I know sometimes I end up working 60, 70-hour weeks. And when you're doing that, you get really caught up in mind, in solutions, in thinking, creativity, what I have to do, what I haven't done, the never-ending lists. And we're not feeling into our bodies. We're not connecting with them. They're in the way.
Yeah, very true.
So I think it's a very common situation for women, and it's not something that's easy to manage in the world and the model that we have set up right now.
Yes, and I think many of us women that works for ourselves, like you said, we come from a male dominated environment. And anyway, all of us has had a job before. We've worked in this male dominant environment, and so it becomes a part of who we become. And we just seem to continue that culture even when we do have the choice to do things differently. Um, why do you believe it's so important to slow down and listen to those signals that our body sends us? I know they're important, but I want you to share. I want you to share with my audience.
Well, we want to maintain, I mean, it's like asking why do we want to be healthy? Um, because we want to feel clear, we want to have energy, we want to be strong. I think about aging and I see people who can no longer walk, or there you see another 90-year-old who's been exercising and eating healthy and taking care of their body, and they're lifting weights and dancing. And um, it's about being able to perform at a high level. It's about feeling good in our bodies. It's about being able to think clearly. It's about maintaining our independence. I mean, like if our body is telling us what's going on with our health. And when we fail to pay attention, we're going to pay the price. And we're not going to be able to continue the pace that we need to in order to succeed in our work.
That's
So, sorry, what were you going to say?
no, that's fine. Finish.
So I think it's a very simple thing. Like I remember when I became more health conscious in my life, people would be like, "Well, what does it matter? You don't know when you're gonna die. Like something could hit you tomorrow, and like a car could hit you tomorrow, or you could, be in an accident." And it's not about that. It's about feeling at my best in the now, and that I can take on the world, that I have energy, that I sleep well, that I feel strong, that my mind is clear so I can make good decisions. Um, I think it's very simple. It's as simple as that.
Thank you for sharing that. I have to admit that I'm one of those women that doesn't always listen to the signs. I haven't in the past. I come from the corporate world and very male dominated. And yes, there was no space for that kind of thing. There isn't space for listening to your body. And I have found that since I started my own coaching practice many years now back, 12 years or so ago, that I've started picking up that I still sometimes do that. I still sometimes fall into that. I don't know even what I want to call it, that pit of not listening and just pushing through when I've got launches to do, or when things need to get done, I just keep going and I don't listen. And I've changed quite a lot in my business over the years, but definitely not to the level that I know that I should and can. And I know that many women are not doing it either. So thank you so much for sharing that. What's for me very powerful is that you shared that you want to live in the now. And every day is the now, and we don't know how many years that now is going to be. So to use the excuse that you can be hit by a bus tomorrow is not a good enough excuse. Okay, so my next question to you is,
Can I ask you a question?
yes, anytime.
So how are you like how do you listen to your body, or what is it that, or how do you prepare for a launch which is intense? There's deadlines, there's time limits, there's things that have to get out there, otherwise it's not going to succeed. How do you listen to your body while those deadlines are upon you?
In the beginning years, when I came into my own business online, my coaching business, I didn't. I didn't listen to it. And I would be deadly exhausted after every single launch. I would feel like I need a month's holiday to just recover. And I know many women are feeling that way. Um, Now I sort of more energetically started tuning into the signals that my body is giving me. I also had a big accident just over a year ago. I fell here in PV in Mexico and I broke my ankle very, very badly. And I needed to slow down completely to a point where I wasn't allowed to do anything. I couldn't do anything. After the surgery, I had 2 surgeries in 2 days. After the surgeries and all the anesthetic, my body felt like I was 180. I felt dead. I felt heavy. I didn't have any energy. the medicine that they gave me, all the antibiotics and the anti-inflammatories and everything that I needed to take. It was terrible. I hated it. But I think what was worse was the fact that I wasn't even allowed to do anything. I had to, for the first 2.5 months, the doctor was so afraid that I would fall again and that would have catastrophic consequences, that I needed to stay between the bed and the sofa. We had to move out of our house because I couldn't go upstairs. I wasn't allowed to even attempt to go upstairs. Not that I think I would have been able to, because when I just came out of hospital, my body was, like I said to you, it was dead. It was heavy. I've never felt like that in my life before. And a lot changed for me since then. So how I launch, I've changed completely, because I've spent a lot of that time tuning into my energy, listening to my body, um, finding different ways. And so that's why I'm so excited about this podcast and having this podcast episode with you, because I've decided that I need to change the way I work. So I don't do those hugely energetic launches anymore. That drains everything, your physical energy as well as your emotional energy. I don't do them anymore. I've changed pace in my business. I have changed how I do business. So I now really focus on selling every day. I focus on putting new programs out, creating my programs, but there's no urgency of I need to have this big money goal launch right now. And I found since I've been doing that and I'm selling every single day, there's either something in my social media that I'm selling in my email or to my email list. I'm selling constantly and every day in a far more relaxed way. I'm actually making more money.
Mm.
So the moment I started listening more, um, and I changed how I work, and I changed my work to make me feel, my body feel, and my spirit and my soul feel comfortable with what I'm doing and the pace that I'm doing it at, everything changed. But yet I'm still not really listening that much, because when I get into work mode, I sit on a gym ball. I don't sit on a chair, and I can sit on this ball the whole day without realizing how many hours I've been working, because I'm actually having so much fun in my business now that I still don't listen to that. So I've got alarms on my phone that I set so that I can be more conscious to listen to my body more. Exercising, I'm not that good at yet after the fall. I'm still putting it off a bit. I don't know why. But I do need to go back to exercising because I know how critically important it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely know that that's something I need to do. But with that fall, I firmly believe that something has to die for something good to be born. And everything inside of me had to die. My independence had to die. I was this fiercely independent woman. I didn't like taking or getting help from anyone. That had to die. Um, my body had to feel as if it's dying, and it really did. I really felt that way. I felt like my body was dying, my independence was dying, my energy, my soul was dying, and I feel that everything had to die inside of me, not literally, but you know what I mean. And then for me to be able to rebirth everything that I feel and how I lead and how I do business today. And I didn't understand that when I fell. We never understand why these things happens to us. And I did ask the question, why me? Like we always do. I went into this self-pity mode, my victim, and I felt so victimized and so helpless. But when all of that worked out of my system and that rebirth took place, everything in my business changed. My energy changed. How I run my business changed. How I listen to my body changed. Um, but I still need to make notes for myself. And like I said, I still need alarms to remind me that I need to do certain things. I need to get up and take a walk, and I need to get up from my ball and go and do something different, go get the laundry done and things just to get my body moving again. And I'm planning on joining the gym
Mhm.
so that I can get back into exercising. I used to dance a lot, just do dancing every morning for half an hour to 40 minutes. Um, but my ankle doesn't feel the same. I don't know if it'll ever feel the same. I've got a plate and screws and heaven and knows what else in there. It still swells a lot. So I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that again so quickly.
So maybe homeopathy can help your ankle heal a little better.
Maybe I'm actually looking more forward to what you're going to share with us later on in this. And that's hormones. I want to hear about the hormones,
Ah,
but I'm not um, against looking at that to help me to heal my ankle more. So that's why I'm so excited about this episode. Is I'm here to learn as much as everyone else about this. So let's carry on. Um, I want to ask you, why do you believe it's so important? Oh, no, we've asked that one. Sorry. How has homeopathy helped, or homeopathy? How do you pronounce it again?
homeopathy.
Homeopathy. Okay. How has homeopathy helped women reconnect with their intuition and energy from your experience?
Hmm. There's a real magic to how homeopathy works. It sometimes can be so subtle that people don't even remember being different. I think like there's people that have like I think there's groups in India that have talked about homeopathy as something you shouldn't do because it changes your karma. Like it eases your suffering and it heals from such a deep level that it's skipping the whole karmic process, and so you shouldn't do that because you're meant to suffer.
Oh no. Well, I don't
So
like to suffer, so.
no one likes to suffer, I think. Well, maybe there's a few people out there. I think people become addicted to their suffering,
Mm,
where it becomes a pattern of being that they no longer know what to do with themselves or how to behave or how to feel in the world if they're not within that pattern.
mm,
And sometimes that's what makes it so difficult for us to do something different and why it takes that dramatic rebirthing experience, like you had, the death, the metaphorical death,
mm,
in order to be able to step out of that intense pattern. Can take something really intense to break that
mm,
pattern. These patterns that don't benefit us. And yet what homeopathy does is it somehow shifts that dynamic in a very, like I said before, very subtle way. Sometimes we don't perceive how drastic a difference it is within ourselves. So I've had people come in, for example, I'm thinking of one case in particular where someone came in struggling with awful migraines. That was their chief complaint. And when they came back for a follow-up appointment and I asked how were the headaches, they were like, what headaches? What are you talking about? Well, that's what you came to see me for. No, it wasn't. So sometimes those shifts, it's like homeopathy gives you perspective. It can show you um where your patterns no longer make sense and are no longer required without
mm.
that difficulty. It allows you to get over that addiction to that pattern with ease and to move into something new.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, so you're talking about how it helps. The question was, how does it help women reconnect?
Yeah, to the energy, to the
Hmm.
intuition and energy.
So I think that's a part of what homeopathy magically does because, and I'm using magically because it's just it acts so deeply when used correctly. We're looking at the core patterns of a person, and we're healing at that level, because only then can you really heal the body and the mind and the spirit deeply and for a long period of time. Otherwise, you're just covering things up. They're just band-aids. Uh, and in order to have that deep healing, you have to address the psychological and the emotional aspect as well.
Mm,
And that's where we reconnect. And even just the intake process, the homeopathic intake process, allows an individual to start to see their patterns, the questioning. It's like going to a psychologist in a way. People often say that the appointment feels like being at the therapist, because we're unraveling a person's patterns and where they came from and how they were formed and what traumas have informed those things.
mm. I remember going to a homeopath in South Africa many years ago because I had hypothyroidism,
Hmm.
and the medical doctors just kept giving me more and more and more medication, and it was just not working anymore. And at 10 a.m. in the morning, I was like completely drained. I just had no energy. And I remember now that you're saying that that's exactly the same thing. He asked me so many questions about my childhood, about my relationships and everything. It was like going to a therapist. So I remember that. The only thing is, it irritated me because he didn't share with me why it's so important. He waited until I got irritated with him, and then he told me why it's so important. But yeah, I think um, I do have to say that my hypothyroidism wasn't cured by him. It was cured by another doctor. When medical doctors told me it will never be able to. And he's also a homeopath, but he's also a registered medical practitioner. And he put me onto I don't know what they call it. I think they call it a regime, um, or a protocol or something like that. I'm not sure. Where I had to take certain tablets that was, and I think it was what they told me, it was pig hormones
Hmm.
to,
By
yeah.
yeah.
And I had to take them at a certain time every day for a certain period of time. And my thyroid was nearly dead by the time I found him. And I did that. And within 3.5 months, my thyroid started working by itself again. So I do know the power of homeopathic medicines. Um, and I have never, in probably 18 years, had problems with my thyroid since then. So
Beautiful.
yeah, it is actually a very powerful way of treating things that the real, well, the real, how they put it,
Hmm.
medical profession really cannot heal even if they try.
So just to clarify, the porcine hormones, the pig hormones, that's not homeopathy, that's functional medicine.
Oh, okay.
But functional medicine can also be, it's just, it should be, they should work side by side.
Mm,
And like anything, homeopathy depends on the practitioner, depends on like we delve into those deep patterns, and there's this art of finding the matching remedy, and that,
mm,
and which makes homeopathy a little bit difficult. But when you get it right, it's spectacular.
okay.
So, yeah, sometimes the practitioner isn't good. Sometimes you didn't connect the right way. Sometimes they went off on a tangent, or they're close but not quite right. So sometimes it takes a little bit more time to
Mm,
find the right remedy for the person, or the one that's going to make a difference. What was I gonna say? But yeah, like Western medicine, as you're saying, is limited, conventional medicine. Um, because of the financial um, goals of the pharmaceutical industry, of how research is done. When someone finds uh, makes a discovery in research that's going to cure cancer, for example, they're blocked, they're shut down because that's not what the pharmaceutical industrial
Yeah.
complex wants. They make so much money from people being sick, and there's very little money in being healthy. So they're going to push everything that's going to increase their control and their profits.
Yeah, definitely.
So and they also shape the education that doctors are getting in medical school.
Mm.
So they're really limiting the tools and the understanding of how the human body works in order to maintain control of an industry.
It's so sad that that happens, but so realistic. It just is happening in so many parts of the world. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. But it's so sad that these things are so controlled. It
Mhm.
really is. And how people sometimes fall into that control. We fall into that control. We allow them to control us, don't we?
It's easy when, the media tells you what to think. There starts to be peer pressure. You need to meet certain standards to be able to work or to go to school. There's expectations. So yeah, it's hard. It takes a lot of discernment and a lot of individuality and a lot of being able to um feel into what's right and feel into your intuition in order to look past, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Okay, in your experience, what are some of the common patterns women experience right before they burn out?
Everyone's a little different, and that's why homeopathy is about addressing the individual. I think often patterns of deep exhaustion and overwhelm,
Hmm.
or not knowing what to do next, this sensation of like feeling frozen.
Hmm.
um Let me think about this. Yeah, like just digging into me and what happens, um sheer exhaustion, uh not being able to prioritize correctly, feeling a lot like feelings of guilt around I should be more productive, I should be more productive, I'm not doing enough. And those feelings, and then when you're too exhausted, that increases and increases. The anxiety, the sense of responsibility. I'm trying to think of my clients who have some of them who were like serious CEOs, business leaders, um, and often anxiety starts to come in, performance anxiety. How are other people going to perceive me?
Mm.
I've had people who got to the point where they couldn't even make a phone call because they felt that they were going to fail on that call. They could no longer speak to their board. Every presentation they did, they would blank out. Things like that tend to happen. It's from what I have seen in my patients. You really specialize in this area. What have you seen or what has happened with you?
I often see that women, and I work with women only, so I can, well, not actually just women. I do work with men occasionally. I do have the occasional male client. But what I see that happens in our kind of environment where I am in the online world is that the trend has been set that you've got to hustle. Okay. And so very many women are starting to stand up against this hustle culture where we have to hustle and hustle and hustle. But there are still many of us that falls for that. Like we said, this male domination world that we live in, it's not always easy. So some of us are standing up against it, and I see more and more women doing that. But yes, I have seen women go into complete panic attacks. I've seen women go into overwhelm, like you said, that they're too scared to do anything. They're too scared to push forward and actually just ask for a sale in their launch, because by the time they get to that part of the launch, they completely overwhelmed and so afraid that it's not going to work, that in the end they end up not even doing it because they are afraid of how it's going to be perceived, how it's going to be seen. It's going to fail in any way, and then they start questioning themselves and they stop trusting themselves. Um, and then the fear, like you said, fear of failure. How are people going to see me? How am I going to see myself? We often so often lie to ourselves about these things. Um, so yes, I think those are probably the most common ones that I see. Um, I haven't seen, I don't work with people in the boardroom, although maybe it could be quite exciting to do that. Um, I've seen those. I can't see that they too scared to speak to the board. But it's the same thing. They get too scared to actually start having these conversations with the clients that they should have to be able to bring more clients into their business. Uh, e- Especially selling. Okay. When they are so overworked in this launch and they're so focused on it, the the actual reason why they're there then becomes irrelevant, because and fear of everything starts coming in and they mistrusting it. But I think the mistrust is for me the most important one.
Hmm.
It leads to that mistrust and questioning yourself, your values, what you're worth, what you are capable of. And to me, that's very important. When somebody comes to me and they're that far down the rabbit hole where they question themselves and they're mistrusting themselves, then I know that they're really, really close to burnout.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I've never been there. Not that close to burnout, I have to say. I have been extremely tired. And I have felt like that in my launches, that I feel like I need a whole month off, just really exhausted. But I've never been in true burnout. I have no idea what it feels like. I've seen women be there, but I've never experienced it myself.
Hmm.
I'm really grateful for that. I think when I get to that point where I really feel that exhausted, I stop and I listen, but I do know that I should stop before and not get to that point. And that's why it was so important for me to change my business over the years, not just after my fall, but over the years as well, of
Yeah.
not launching like that anymore. Because it's just too energetically draining, physically as well as emotionally.
Hmm. And there, people are built in different ways, and some people can handle it better than others. But there are things that a person can do with their wellness and taking care of their bodies to be able to withstand that level of stress.
Mm.
Um, for, if you know you're going to have 2 weeks of intense stress, there are things that you can actually do to improve your resilience. Um, B vitamins, adaptogenic herbs, exercise, and taking that time to like create some routine and discipline over that time period.
Mm.
Getting the exercise, getting daylight is incredibly important. Setting your
Yeah.
circadian rhythms right and being able to get that infrared light from the sun. Um, so there are basic things that can make you feel so good, so energized and ready to go. Uh, I was going to mention another thing about women that is I think it's more difficult for us than for men because we still often carry the responsibility of family.
Mm.
Even though men have stepped up so much, they're expected to help in the house, they're expected to cook and do dishes and help with the cleaning and all that. women still take on the majority of what has been coined as the worry energy,
Yeah.
which is, is the child eating enough? What's happening with their social life? Are they getting play dates? Have they been to the doctor if they need it? Are they eating well? Are they all these, like, did they get a haircut? Do they need costumes for the school play? What do I need to make? All those things are still and I think it's just the natural makeup of what that mother child relationship is, and I think it's different from the father child relationship.
Mm, definitely.
So we're expected to carry that, plus be able to work nonstop, plus work within our own cycles, and I think it can be really difficult. So I love this idea of learning to work within your cycles, and maybe that's a lot more available to like a woman working online, like a solopreneur who's working
Mm,
on selling her product or her gift to the world online. And I think it's nice to be able to shape your business around your cycle. So, for example, I tend not to see patients before 11 a.m. in the morning. So that way I can get up, I can go to the gym, have a shower, sit in front of my red light, which I love to do, and meditate before I start. So then I'm present for my patients. I'm fully available for them, and I know I'm going to be doing my best for them, for example.
that's beautiful. Tell me more about that red light that you're talking about.
I gotta get going on an affiliate because like I love them so much, and like I can sell this product so well.
Okay, so sell it to us.
um, I have to look at the brand that I'm using, but it's a panel. They're quite large, and they produce near infrared and red light. Um, and this is amazing for mitochondrial health. It helps activate mitochondria, which is our powerhouse. It's what helps produce energy. It's where our metabolism is based in. And when we have metabolic disease, it's often coming from the mitochondrial dysfunction.
Mm.
It's People are using red light to build collagen. It's helps us look younger. It
Oh,
helps.
I need that light. And I think a lot of women needs it too. So I'm gonna ask you a
Mm.
favor. Um, get it for us on Amazon, please, and send me the link. And ladies, I'm gonna put that little red lights link inside the show notes, so
Okay,
you
I'm
can
gonna
go get
get you a
yours.
link. It's not on Amazon. Often you have to be very
Okay,
careful with the quality. There's lots of lights available on Amazon, and
okay,
people don't see results because they don't have the right frequency range. They have too much flicker, which is harmful. There's all
okay,
kinds of reasons why the really cheap made in China lamp lights
okay,
aren't that effective,
okay,
and why a high quality lamp is a really good investment.
okay. So
But I'll get you a link.
you're gonna get me the link. I'm gonna put it into the show
Great.
notes. Okay.
And these panels or these lights are also highly anti-inflammatory. They can help heal joint problems, pain in the body, and just reduce overall inflammation. Um,
Okay.
they're,
Great.
they're great before going to bed because you're exposing yourself to red light, which helps set your circadian rhythm into like nighttime routine. And they're also great in the morning because it's part of our morning light. It's not the bright blue light, but
Mm.
I love it in the morning. I find that it energizes me for the whole day.
It sounds amazing. I've definitely got to get one of those. And I know that there's many women that's going to be listening to this episode that's going to say, I need that thing. So please let me get the link for a good quality one so that
Definitely.
I can link it in the show notes.
I will share that with you.
Thank you. Okay, so you've seen many powerful healing stories through your film.
Mhm.
You've traveled extensively making that film. So I want you to share a story, just one, that shows us what is really possible.
Okay. So I shared the story of leptospirosis in Cuba, which was, I love sharing that story. But another story that really impacted me, and I recently reconnected with him a couple of weeks ago, is a man, an older gentleman who was diagnosed with a glioblastoma, a very, very fatal type of brain tumor, which Western medicine has very little to offer.
Mm.
Um, I'm just trying to get back to my Google Meet. There it is. Okay. And he was basically stuck in bed. He was so sick from all the chemo medications he was taking for the glioblastoma or GBM. He could hardly walk. He needed help to do anything. He could hardly eat. He had zero quality of life, and he was slowly being killed by these like 30, 50 pills he was taking every day. I can't
Oh,
remember the number. It was outrageous. And I don't know who brought them, but he lives in Calcutta in India. And someone referred him to the Banerjee doctors, which I share in the film. And they're Prasanta and Pratit Banerjee, who created these incredible homeopathic protocols. And I would say some of their most successful and iconic ones are the ones for brain tumors. So they came with their medications, they took him off his chemo, and he started taking these remedies twice a day. They're very simple. You're like taking drops and sugar pellets. And soon he was getting out of bed, he was walking, he regained some of his vision. He started living life again. Uh, the tumor started to shrink. We show the
wow.
we show the MRIs or the scans of the tumor, and you can see how it's getting smaller, which is beautiful. And I mean, how many years now has it been? I mean, the film came out in 2017. I think I filmed him in around 2015 or 16. And he's still advocating and trying to share this miracle medicine with as many people with brain tumors as possible. And I can't even tell you how many people it's growing, the number of brain tumors in the world. I don't know the incidence rates, but from my own personal practice in my life, I see how many people are being diagnosed with these tumors.
Mm.
So it could be a real lifesaver. Uh, and it's such a simple medicine to use that way. And when I learned of um, my my cousin's family member has a brain tumor. I think she's in her 30s. And that's why I reconnected with him to try to convince her to try the homeopathy and to have her speak with him. So he's still going strong. He must be in his mid to late 70s now.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he has websites and he does podcasts and he's doing everything in his power to turn people on to the power of the bad energy protocols.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really, really amazing to hear that. I love hearing stories where traditional medicine can really help people and change their lives this drastically because chemo is a horrible, horrible thing.
Hmm. Agreed.
Okay, so for the women who feels resistant to rest or healing because they're just on the go all the time, what would you say to them?
Well, I think you summarized it with your story of what can happen.
Yeah.
Um, but if you don't take care of yourself now, rest and sleep. Everyone needs different amounts of sleep. Some people can do with a lot less. But if you're not getting rest, you're not going to be able to carry the pace.
Mm.
And you're not, and eventually you're going to be forced to rest. It could be injury, it could be chronic illness, it could be, what was I going to say? Who knows what's going to happen, but soon you might find you're going to be forced to rest. And you don't
Yeah,
want that.
definitely.
You want to be able to pace yourself and continue and feel good and feel clear and have energy. So you're going to be forced to rest in one way or another. So might as well make sure that you're doing it in a healthy way. And it's a whole science in and of itself. Many people struggle with getting good sleep, and I would say it's an epidemic, especially like in the times around menopause.
Oh yeah, tell me
Women
about
start
that.
to really struggle with sleep
Yeah,
because our progesterone goes down, and our progesterone is a precursor, or melatonin is a precursor to progesterone. So it can really affect sleep patterns, for example.
I know all about that. That's the one that I
Hmm.
definitely want to see you about. I need to make an appointment with you. I am struggling with my sleep since I started going into menopause, and the cycles are horrible, and I just cannot cope with it so well all the time. So I'm definitely going to be in touch with you. Um, how can homeopathy, so do I say it correctly this time?
Homeopathy.
You see, I still can't get it right.
I'd
Um,
have to say it in the
I'm
South
just gonna
African
say it
style.
I'm gonna say it in true South African style. How can homeopathy support women in business to prevent burnout and stay strong during intense seasons?
Hmm. Well, as I said, homeopathy is about deep healing. So being able to sleep well, having less anxiety, um, not like often what I'm working with is people with chronic conditions. So as those chronic conditions improve, your energy improves, everything feels clearer and better. It's going to allow you to work more productively.
Mm,
And also, when you're more productive, you can be more productive in a shorter period of time, allowing you for time for other things and to give you more of a work-life balance. I think it changes your perception as well. So all these things that cause stress, all these, we're always worried about the future and what hasn't happened yet, and people get caught up in things that aren't real. I
mm,
think homeopathy is almost a type of mindfulness. It can lead to that. So you
mm.
start to let go of these things that no longer serve you and are only robbing your energy instead of allowing you to be in the now, be happy, be productive, feel good about what you're doing. And as you said, like now you're working at your own rhythm, you're
Yes,
making more money.
it's beautiful. I absolutely love working in my own rhythm. It took a long time for me to get there. I have to be honest with you. It's not something that just happened overnight.
Hmm.
Um, my fall had a great impact on it, but it's something that started many years ago that I've already started working on little by little. So it's not something that just came to me overnight, and I started listening to my body, and I started working differently. But ladies, I need to tell you that when you do this, it is amazing. I have to also tell you that you've heard that I had hypothyroidism, um, and however the doctors decided to treat me, um, it really helped. It was like a new lease on my life. And if you have any chronic diseases or illnesses, I suggest that you reach out to Ananda wherever you are in the world. She will probably be able to tell you who you can go and see, or how you can find someone that you can go and see where you live, so that you can get a new lease on life. Because I've had a new lease on life twice now, and I have to tell you, it's amazing. It really is. Okay, what can homeopathy or homeo, wow, no, I'm not even going to
Just
try again.
stay with everything else you say is South African, so you might
Yes,
as well
everything
stick
is
with
South
it.
African, so we've got a very distinct accent, don't we?
Yeah.
Um, what, what can, have you ever been?
No, I would love to go. I had a very close colleague of mine. We worked in the same office. He's South African. I had a lot of fun with her
Yeah,
over the years.
it's it's a special kind of accent that we have there.
I
Um,
love it.
thank you. What can homeopathy do for women struggling with stress or hormone imbalance? Now, this is the one that I've been waiting for.
I'm not going to give you any instant answers that you can take home and implement. I mean, the red light is actually amazing to help with hormone balance and stress and those sorts of things. But the secret to homeopathy is its individualization.
Mm,
Everyone's different. Everyone in that same stress or same situation is going to express differently, is going to have different symptoms. And so part of homeopathy, what makes it maybe a little difficult for that medical industrial model is that everyone is treated differently. Everyone might need different nutritional supplements, different, I was going to say everyone's hormones are going to respond differently, and also everyone's going to need a different remedy. There are some, like I often work with homeopathic remedies made from hormones,
mm,
and they help stimulate hormones at the right time and ease the symptoms of like hot flashes, insomnia, but we're addressing the whole person and what's occurring from a mental, emotional level, physical level. Everyone's insomnia looks different. For
mm,
example, some people wake up at 4 a.m. and can't get back to sleep. Other people's mind is racing, they can't fall asleep. And even to the point of what are you thinking about? Like what's mind racing for you? Is it anxious thoughts? Is it excited thoughts? Is it
mm.
all those things we take into account to understand what's happening.
Okay, so it's definitely not just a quick fix. You need to see someone that can help you.
You need to see someone that can help you.
Okay.
Um, like I'm thinking about, I don't know why, talking about insomnia, I suddenly recalled after I had my daughter, my thyroid went hyperactive. And my doctor said to me, "You don't want me to treat this. It's very invasive. You need to figure this out for yourself." I have an amazing doctor. And she's just like lost her license for working to protect her patients'
Oh,
rights to confidentiality, which is really sad in
it
Canada.
is. It is very sad, isn't it?
But regardless, so that's what I did. And I'm just remembering how for me, insomnia wasn't about racing thoughts or waking up at 4 a.m. It was this whole body buzz, this
Mm,
sensation of buzzing that wouldn't let me rest. So for everyone, it's very different, and we need to address that individuality to have real success with homeopathy.
okay, great. All right, so I'm definitely going to be booking appointment with you soon. I need to solve my insomnia, and I have both of those. Sometimes I cannot fall asleep, and other times I wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. and I cannot get back to sleep. So,
Hmm.
oh, and those hot flashes.
Yeah,
It's
they're
horrible,
intense.
especially at night. During the day, I still cope quite well, but when it's lights out, it's bedtime, it's as if my body says, "Yay, now we can go on fire."
Hmm.
And
I didn't understand how awful they were. Like women would come to me with their hot flashes, and I was like, okay, so you're hot. Like, big deal. Now I understand.
now I'm so glad you do. I don't think it's something that you can really understand until you actually go through it yourself.
Yeah.
I remember as a teenage girl how many of my friends' moms really struggled. My mom was very lucky. She had almost no symptoms. And I just couldn't understand why is she sweating so much? And it just never made any sense to me until I was there myself. Okay, so now my last question. This is a long episode, but it's fine, ladies, because Ananda and I are having so much fun, and I'm hoping that you're having as much fun as we are. Um, you've mentioned that natural medicine is under threat in many parts of the world.
Mhm.
I know it was very special to you, or it was one of your requirements that we talk about that in this episode. Can you share what's happening and why is it so urgent that we protect access to it?
Thank you so much for asking that, Myra.
You're welcome.
We talked a little bit earlier about why homeopathy and natural medicine is a threat to the conventional system. And the history is really interesting about how conventional medicine got started in opposition to natural medicine. And in the 1920s, um, they did everything in their power to shut down access to natural medicine in order to push petroleum-based and what they were calling at that point in time evidence-based medicine. This started before antibiotics were invented, or discovered. This was like what they called evidence would shock most people nowadays, in a time when
Mm,
they were using leeches and mercury and all these arsenic and all these poisons to treat people. And this is what they were calling the evidence-based medicine. And they're still calling it evidence-based medicine today, even though the evidence base is so manipulated. I believe in science. I am not anti-science. I don't want to come across that way. But what we have happening today, I would describe more as scientism than science. It's
mm,
it's almost become this religious philosophy rather than a true search for knowledge. And it's manipulated, it's controlled, and the narrative that's told through science or a scientific lens is the one they want you to hear.
mm,
Um, so I am a true proponent of real science. I just want to put that out there, and that's what I try to show through the film is the scientific, clear evidence that shows that homeopathy is real, is effective, and has a real impact. But what's happening now, for example, the US, the FDA decided that homeopathy is a new drug. Homeopathy was originally grandfathered in by the creators of the FDA and the founders of the FDA. One, in order to protect it and make sure that it wasn't abused. And two, because the FDA is supposed to protect us against toxic substances. And homeopathy is innately non toxic. So the FDA faked a lot of complaints about teething remedies for homeopathic teething remedies. They built a whole case against homeopathy that they tried to push through for years with the but mothers actually, and an organization called Americans for Homeopathy Choice. I encourage everyone to check them out. They rose up and they really put a cog in the FDA's plans. But unfortunately, over time, the FDA managed to push through, and now they're removing homeopathic products from the shelves, and they now have the right to remove any product they want, really. In Canada, they passed a budget bill, and within this budget bill, they snuck in some legislation which no one was really aware of until that I'm forgetting the name of the organization. Uh, Natural health product. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send you the link for your show notes. Um, but they were able to, I don't know how they found out that this was being passed, but basically it's saying that health products not approved by Health Canada, you cannot make any claims about them. So it's now illegal to say in Canada that ginger is good for nausea,
Oh my.
for example. So any product that needs any natural health product that makes a claim, um, I'm just trying to think of an example. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen. Vitamin C is good for colds. Will build your immune system. Anything like that, if it's not approved by Health Canada, and to be approved by Health Canada, it has to go through the whole research cycle, which can cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And most natural health product companies don't have that kind of money to be able to do that level of research on products that we know in the market are generally harmless and is considered generally regarded as safe or grass. When Tylenol is available over the counter and causes so many deaths a year, you wouldn't even believe. It's very toxic and it causes liver toxicity. So this is very disconcerting. It's going to have a huge impact on the access to health products in Canada.
Mm.
In the UK, the NHA, so the National Health System, the NHS. Sorry, I've got all these acronyms confused in my head right now. The
That's
National Health
fine.
System, the NHS, removed homeopathy. It used to be covered. It was part of the medical system there. One of the great hospitals, homeopathic hospitals, was the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital. Um, and homeopathy has been promoted by the royal family since the time of Queen Victoria. They all use homeopathy. He's now just passed away, but one of their doctors appears in my film, the royal family, Queen Elizabeth's doctor.
Okay.
And so they had a lot of success and a lot of support in the UK until the medical system really started to push an anti-homeopathy narrative, and they really pushed to shut it down. They cut funding for homeopathy. They changed the name of the hospitals, and they shut down most of the publicly funded homeopathic clinics in the country. And this is happening all over the world. These are just examples. So we really are at risk of losing our access not just to homeopathy, but to natural health products. And if people aren't standing up for their rights to decide how they want to treat their bodies, we're going to lose access. This is also why I've created courses, and for me, it's really important to educate parents on using homeopathy. In the 1920s, when they really made an effort to shut access to homeopathy down in the US, it was moms who kept it alive. They would exchange information, they would trade remedies, and they would teach each other how to use homeopathy to keep their kids healthy. It being able to teach moms to help in those scary times when your kid's got a high fever, an ear infection, you don't know what to do. How amazing is it to feel like you have a toolkit that you can make a difference in your kid and you don't have to rush to the hospital, to antibiotics, to the
Mm.
doctor every time something comes up that you can really handle at home. And by reducing the use of antibiotics, we're creating a healthier next generation with healthier biomes, less prone to infection, more resilient. So I feel like this is my contribution to keeping this art alive and to empowering parents and families and the next generation.
That is so beautiful. I was actually working with a client yesterday, and she was telling me that she's got a condition, and I can't remember the name. Um, but she has to take a specific type of aspirin for this condition, and I take a specific type of aspirin every day for my blood because I've got a vitamin or a protein S and K deficiency, so I get black dots easily.
Mm,
And we were talking about how the aspirin is actually affecting us. I mean, I've got puffy eyes, my eyes are swimming, I've got this puffiness. on my cheeks and places that I don't want. My skin is overly dry in my face, very red and irritated. Um, and she said, but she's now taking it only every 3 days. But she says by day three, her body is shutting down. She has to take it. And she has to believe that there is something better that she can take. And I feel the same way. I've been um, on blood thinners most of my life. I had my first DVT when I was 19, and I had my second one in my early 40s. And you know that it's hugely risky to be able to have a clot. It's so easy
Mm-hmm.
to create
Mm-hmm.
a clot, and so I've always got to be very careful with it. That's why I'm struggling with my hormones because I can't take the traditional medical hormone replacement therapy. And I'm not too sure whether I actually even want to. I've been staying away from it until now. So that's why I'm so excited about this episode as well. I'm definitely going to come see you. Maybe you can help me with my ankle, my hormones, and my blood problem, and I'll be so thankful. So, yeah, I think it's really scary that it's so much being taken away, so much of it is being taken away worldwide. Um, and women are standing up to this. Women should be standing up to it because
Mm-hmm.
we get misdiagnosed. Um, we we get given chemicals to put into our bodies that affect so many other things.
Yep.
I sit sometimes when I watch TV and I see all these ads that they have on in the US about the medicine, and I'm thinking, and they're telling you all the side effects, and I'm sitting there thinking, my God, it sounds like a death wish. Now you want to tell me I must take that to solve this thing so that I can have 110 other side effects that could cause me to go blind or dead, and can
Yep.
cause me to die, or can cause cancer, or can cause all these other things. So why would I take it? And so it's really scary. And I do feel, ladies, that when you're listening to this episode, I think we need to all stand up to this. It's something that's really critically important because our freedom of choice are being taken away little by little. And this is a very big freedom of choice that they are trying to take away from us. Um, where can women go and stand up, do something? Is there organizations that they can go and support?
There are organizations all around the world. Um, my mailing list is also about informing people about advocacy. That's really important for me. So if people want to go to magicpillsmovie.com, the bottom of the page, you can join the mailing list. We'll let you know what's happening when there's campaigns where you can stand up and make a difference. Americans for Homeopathy Choice is a great organization. In the US, in Canada, there is for Homeopathy Canada, and there's a new organization. There's the other one, which I want to say, oh, because I'm getting confused right now. I'm looking it up right now.
Don't worry about
National.
that.
Okay.
Let's you send me a couple of links and I will put them in the show notes as well. But ladies, yes, go and join um, Ananda's email list or newsletter and get that information. I think it's really critically important for all of us to stand up against this so that we do not lose access to natural medicines.
So I found it's the Natural Health Products Protection Association, NHPPA, and if you just search that, you'll find them. Sean Buckley is the one who spearheaded that organization.
Good.
And there are similar organizations all over the world. Like as I did that search, I found Save Our Supplements, uh, also, which they put SOS, Save Our Supplements campaign. Um, oh, Well, Lesso looks like they've done some really important things, and there's been changes, hopefully, that they stopped that legislation in Canada.
Good. That will be
Um,
so great.
I'm here in Mexico and been a little bit out of the loop with what NHPA has done in the last little bit. But those things are happening everywhere in Australia. I'm not sure what's happening in South Africa, but yeah, we need to stay aware. We need to, you can do searches online to see who's protecting natural health products where you live.
Okay. So, ladies, let's get a little bit more proactive about this because it is our freedom of choice of what we put in our body that has been taken away. I, for one, do not want to put anything in my body that's going to cause a huge amount of other symptoms to cure one thing. My last question is, where can my listeners, all the beautiful women that's listening to this episode, find you to follow you, and where can they get hold of your movie Magic Pills or your documentary
Well,
Magic Pills?
we have a website called magicpillsmovie.com, and from there you can find that'll lead you in all directions to our a course. I will give you a link for your notes on our community. We have a free online community. We do free usually monthly calls with different homeopaths and health influencers from around the world, and different tools to help you learn a little bit of homeopathy. I'm going to be launching a new course soon, so you can get on the waiting list for the course on that website. You can book an appointment if you go to the contact menu there. There's a link to book an appointment. I do a 15-minute discovery call so we can see if it's a right fit for us to work together. And on social media, right now we've been focused on Instagram, bringing on someone amazing who we had our first work date yesterday, and hopefully we'll be expanding our social media a little bit more back to Facebook. But at Magic Pills Movie, you can find us everywhere. And Instagram, we've changed the name to Ananda Homeopathy, but it's still, the handle's still at Magic Pills Movie, so you can find us there.
Okay, great. I will link all of that into the show notes. So, ladies, don't worry about that. You will get all of that. Anything else that you want to share in the last moment?
Oh, we've done so much. I had a really good time. I can't think of anything last minute.
Okay, great. We have had a really great session. We've shared a lot. Thank you so much, Ananda, for joining me here. I really appreciate it. It was so insightful. It was a lot of fun as well. And you shared so much information with us. So many nice ideas, ladies. I do need you to start listening to your body more. I promise you, from somebody that's had the experience of this, go ahead, listen to your body more. If you want to chat with Ananda, I will give you the links in the show notes. If this conversation is, and it was such a powerful conversation and a reminder that healing doesn't have to be hard or heavy. And it definitely doesn't have to look like it was for me, where you have to have something that's really difficult in your life before you start listening. So, ladies, please do that. Um, don't wait for trauma to happen in your life before you listen to your body. To every woman listening, your body is wise. Do not need permission to pause. You really don't need it. You don't need a crisis to overcome in yourself and in your home before you listen. Whether it's homeopathy, herbs, or simply more rest, let this be your reminder to choose healing that feels good to you. And if you want to learn more about homeopathy or watch Ananda's Magic Pool um, documentary, the links will be in the show notes. Reach out, take your own health seriously. Also, see if you can get on her list. the email list, and let's stand up for what is important. This access that we have to alternative medications is really important. Until next time, stay elevated. Bye bye. Thank you for tuning in to Elevated Woman. If today's episode activated something in you, share it, tag me, or come say hi in the DMs. And if you're ready to go deeper, head to myriswankotze.com to grab your free gift or explore the offers aligned with your next level. Until next time, own your power, claim your wealth, and rise as the elevated woman you came here to be.